2 seconds left. It's stolen by Kilpatrick. 2-on-1. Now a 3-on-1. Kilpatrick switches sides and lays it into the left side.
Brown floater in the air, good. 5 seconds go. Winthrop down by 1. Andre Smith in midcourt. 3 seconds go. Smith and deep 3 on the right. Good! 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 Andre Smith hits a game-winning 3.
First ever Big South Conference Championship. There's the horn. The Grease of the Flatland hugging Savannah Light. Eagles coming out on the floor. Here comes the student section. Eagles win it 87-74. The first ever Big South Conference tournament title for the Eagles.
Now it's time for the Winthrop Coaches Show, live from Buffalo Wild Wings. Join us throughout the season at BW3's off Dave Lyle Boulevard by the Galleria Mall. Send questions for men's coach Pat Kelsey and women's coach Kevin Cook via Twitter using the hashtag WooCoaches. That's hashtag WUCoaches. It's time to talk hoops. Here's Dave Friedman and Mike Pacheco.
And a pleasant good evening and welcome to Buffalo Wild Wings. Glad you're with us for our Winthrop Coaches Show coming down the stretch in the college basketball season. 38 days until Selection Sunday. Syracuse won't be selected, but Winthrop's men's and women's team with an opportunity to go dancing. The women are 12-10 overall, 8-5 in the Big South. The men are 13-10 on the year, 8-4 in the conference. The women's team sits at a half game back of third place in the league. The men are 8-4 and just a half game back of first place, High Point and Radford. And we're so glad to have you in today at Buffalo Wild Wings. 65-cent boneless wings, very popular here on Thursday nights at Buffalo Wild Wings. Happy hour specials from 4 until 8. $3 domestics, $4 and $5 craft and imports. Come see Diego and Thomas. Try the new Smokehouse Santa Fe Sting. 25 different wing sauces here at Buffalo Wild Wings. If you want to send us a question for the coaches, you can do so on Twitter using hashtag WooCoaches. That's hashtag WUCoaches. We start with women's coach Kevin Cook tonight. The team has won 4 of 5, but a difficult loss against Campbell on Monday. How much are you able to take one loss, put it behind you, and move on, or how much does it sting?
I'm just here because I don't want to get fined. Seriously, you got to have the bounce back. And as tough as that loss was on Monday, the sun did come up the next day. And we got rolling, and we've had good practices since then, and we put it behind us.
How important also as kind of the face of the team, it's something maybe disturbing to you, but you know, you have 13, 14 players, and you don't want them to maybe get caught up in what can be a difficult loss. And you need to get them kind of rolling for the next game.
Yeah, they're the important ones. You know, it was a difficult loss for everyone. That was as quiet a locker room as I've ever been in my career. Just a real sadness from our team because we had that game, I thought, in control of it twice. Once in the first half when we were up 19-6. Then in the second half at 47-41, both with 5 minutes to go. 5 minutes to go, and until halftime it was 19-6. And ended up going in trailing 25-23. Fought back. Leah Kilpatrick coaxes a three-pointer in. We go up 47-41. They call timeout. And actually, we had 3 possessions after that where we could have built on that lead.
Yep.
And so that was a stinger. But if anything, it has made our team more determined, and they've worked extremely hard.
we talked after the game, kind of your instant reaction was the fact that Winthrop missed quite a few shots. When you went back and looked at film, does that continue to be the main source of why you think the team lost, or were there some other things that were maybe mitigating that came clearer through watching the game film?
Two things. One, yes, certainly we were missing some open looks. But next is, as I look at everything and had a chance to evaluate, we've got to get better play from our bench, bottom line. And our bench knows this. The starters played too many minutes, which is why both breakdowns, with 5 minutes to go in the first half and 5 minutes to go in the game, part of it was because of fatigue. So that's an area we've got to improve on, and we will. What's important is that I got through to the team that a missed shot is not a mistake.
Right.
I mean, it started to become we're hanging their heads, and we need to stay aggressive and, shoot the 12, 13-footer in the hole and not act like, a miss is a error, because that's part of it. The greatest players, are their shooting percentage. You look at them, and it's well documented. So we just got to shoot the ball with confidence.
And second chance points, when you talk about getting the team to learn about not worrying about a missed shot, in the Campbell game, you had 14 more points on second chance points than the Camels, and that was part of the reason, especially early on when you saw the play of Shaquille, and she was a tough shot blocker, but those second chance points turned out to be a big factor in what they're playing on Monday.
Absolutely. We've got to continue to tomahawk the board both offensively and defensively. Defense, of course, has been an emphasis for us in practice, and also rebounding. And we've got to be known for both of those areas, because games like Monday night are going to happen where you don't shoot it well. But those two are always constants. They can be there for you every single game. And so that's what we're going to focus on. Saturday we're going to come out and shoot the ball real well.
Yeah.
And hopefully, this was just one of those games.
It's hard when it's going on to recognize. The men's team coughed up a 16-point halftime lead at Gardner-Webb, but subsequently they've played better in tight games. Can you, although it's difficult to recognize at the time, get something out of this?
Absolutely. It's going to make our team tougher. I asked them during the game, to just take a couple deep breaths. I said, you guys are trying too hard. And when you try to make a shot, it becomes even more difficult. You got to let it rip. You got to have confidence. And when you free flow and shoot the ball, and everything will go well for you. But when you start aiming it, and when you start trying to make it, it's like the golf swing. You've got to let your swing happen naturally. You've got to let your stroke happen naturally in basketball.
It's like the baseball pitcher who
right.
stops throwing the ball and starts aiming the ball.
Hey, that's a perfect analogy. And like I said, in our practices, we shot the ball like we shot at 50% that game. So that's just basketball. And like I said, it was a great question to ask. Will we get something out of it? Definitely. It'll make us tougher.
How good have practice has been subsequently?
Oh, tremendous. The effort today was just tremendous. Like I said, the team was very, very distraught after that game. And, we've done things, we've done a couple things to lighten the mood since then. And they had a cultural event over at the Arts on campus on the next night. And then last night, Coach Hammy in the wing eating challenge, they had a blast with that. So those two things have really helped.
Yeah, the Buffalo Wild Wings halftime wing eating challenge was quite something yesterday. It was a heck of an event, and Ben Paxton took the title. And I heard he was walking around the offices today talking some smack to everybody.
Oh yeah, he was proud of that victory, and and I saw him. I said, "You're number one." And hey, I mean, he's got 78 squad members, and they're all going to have a free meal here at Buffalo Wild Wings. Heck of a first place prize! Congratulations, Coach Pax. And there's Coach Hamilton. She was in the wing eating contest. Give a big hand to Coach Hamilton. She was crying, and the hot wings were awfully rough going down for her, but she persevered.
Hey, and if practice makes perfect, next year she'll be geared up and ready to place.
Hey, the pressure's on. I already told her, you got to do it next year.
Got to bring it home, Amy.
But that's why she's here today, to practice.
Yes, practicing here with 65-cent wings.
That's right.
Yeah, so you can get a good practice in.
I don't know. I mean, is that a parallel? It's the boneless wings that are on special today.
You got to mix it up, Dave. you can't just, if you do one wing, just one type of wing, then,
it's kind of like when you go to practice and they shoot with the heavier ball.
Yes, exactly.
I told Hammy about coming here tonight and practice. She said, practice?
We're talking about practice?
I don't need practice.
Well,
I'm a gamer.
Yesterday seemed to indicate she does need maybe Ben Paxton doesn't need practice.
Hey, it's really funny. We've got a drill, a shooting drill. You go to the next spot, and Coach Hamilton says when it's time to move to the next spot, she goes, next spot, tear it up. And so our players were all gathered around her, and, she'd have one more bite of the wing, and they'd say, next wing, tear it up. So they had a lot of fun with that.
How important? I mean, we're kind of in the stretch of dog days, if you will, of the season. How important is it to try and keep things light with your team? You want them to have fun and enjoy. That they know how serious it is, and they know what's going on. But you also have to kind of let that pressure valve out every now and then.
Absolutely right. You got to remember this is a game, and we all play it because we love it, and we coach it because we love it. And we want to have fun, and we all want to win, but in the end, if you're not enjoying it, why are you doing it? And so I always try to remember that feeling. We all played the game and had fun with it, and I try to remember back, to the couple practices that I did dread and why I dreaded them. And I want the team to come back the next day looking forward to basketball and to having fun. And we're going to get better. And but I think at the same time, you got to use basketball as an outlet, and so that's important. And I'll tell you how good our weather is here. Daniel Hopper has showed up in shorts, guys, shorts here tonight. What do you think of that, Dave?
I think he's planning to eat a bunch of really hot wings. And he's gonna sweat.
I'll tell you how good the weather is here. I woke up this morning in Boston, and it was about 28 degrees and flurries. I got off the plane. It was in the 50s and sunny. I
love Rock Hill. I love the South, and I'm allergic to snow. So keep it here.
Well, they have about 4 feet of snow at my sister's house.
Good Lord.
So good thing I didn't have to shovel, because that's that you want to get a good workout in. That's definitely how you do it. All right, we are here at Buffalo Wild Wings, the Winthrop Coaches Show. 65-cent boneless wings. Come on by and join us here at Buffalo Wild Wings on Dave Lyle Boulevard. Happy hour from 4 until 8. $3 beers, $4 and $5 crafts. Coach Cook with us for one more segment. Mark Prosser from the men's side joining us at the bottom of the hour. You're listening to the Winthrop Coaches Show on the Winthrop Sports Network.
New year, new you. The holiday guests are gone, the decorations are put away, but you still feel the woes of holiday overspending. Start 2015 on the right track and consolidate your debt at Founders Federal Credit Union. We'll work with you to create one easy monthly payment. Visit founderssfcu.com for more information. Not a Founders member? Visit relaxjoinfounders.com to determine if you qualify for membership or call 800-845-1614. Founders Federal Credit Union, federally insured by NCUA.
Come on, boys, we're on our way. Got the real thing now, and it's time to play. Got an ice cold Coke and a burning heart. takes my breath away. Gonna fire a Coke and make my day.
Distributed locally by the Rock Hill Coca-Cola Bottling Company.
When you're sick and need to go to the ER, it's no fun to wait. There is a smarter way. Check in online at mypmc.com and skip the ER waiting room. Piedmont Medical Center, the smarter way to ER.
Welcome back to the Winthrop Coaches Show. We're here at Buffalo Wild Wings on Dave Lyle Boulevard. 65-cent wings tonight, happy hour from 4 until 8. $3 beers, $4 and $5 craft beers. We'll be here until 7 o'clock. Hope you'll come down and join us. If not, come by and have some wings. Maybe you do your own boneless or regular wings challenge. That's obviously in the wings. I know my son, John, wants to do a boneless wing challenge with you, Coach. Maybe we'll get that later on, maybe one of the down the road shows.
I'm looking forward to it, but I'm not going to take defeat like Coach Hamilton over there. I'm in it to win it.
I would suggest you do not battle John in that case, because
he had 17 the last time he was here, and he's 8.
But that's because he's practiced.
He has practice. Yep, he comes to just about every coach's show, and he gets his work in, Coach. You'd be proud of him.
I'm really proud of Big Bad.
Now, if we could just get him to work on that jump shot, would be in good shape. The men got a little bit of a bye here. They'll be back in action on Wednesday on the road against High Point at High Point. That'll be a 7 o'clock game. The women's basketball team, they'll be in action on Saturday against the UNC Asheville, the Bulldogs, a team that Winthrop has had some success with. Last 7 overall, Winthrop has won. Last 7 in Asheville and 3 in a row at the new Kimmel Arena. What do you think it's been about? While you've been here, the team has had some pretty good success shooting the ball well and playing well in Asheville.
Well, you know, you can't really put your finger on it. When, as I've said before, a couple shows, you know, sometimes when things are going great and it's magical, you don't absolutely know why. It's like sometimes you just seem, you may not have, but you seem to have another conference foes, quote, number. And
it's kind of like when Barclay Radebaugh comes to the Winthrop Coliseum.
I knew you would get a reference of my man Barkley in there.
Good stuff, Dave. Good stuff. All right, so Asheville, saying that though, a team that probably comes in a little bit of a chip on their shoulder, a team that they have some really good key pieces on that team, and you can't really worry about what the last couple results have been. You really have to focus in on what's going on Saturday.
Right. They play tonight, and everybody but us in the league is in action tonight, and we'll be looking at that game. They have an excellent backcourt. Brittany Gwynn at the point, now a senior, has just added something to her game each and every offseason. I'm very impressed with her play. And Shawnice, though she's 5'2", at the 2 guard, she could go for 40 points in a heartbeat if you're not careful. So very impressed with their backcourt. And then they're anchored in the middle by KJ Weaver from Minneapolis, Minnesota. And she is, like you said, a very nice piece inside. And so they're a dangerous ball club. I mean, they played Liberty to a 4-point game at Liberty. So, yes, we're going to have to go in there. We're going to leave up there about 9:15 on Saturday morning, get off the bus and play as, like Coach Kelsey said, like our hair is on fire.
Neither Coach Kelsey nor I have much hair to actually be on fire, but the point is well taken. You talked about Asheville plays tonight while you've had some extra time off. And I think in the media, we tend to say things like more time to prepare or more time to get your players healthy. But is there an advantage to playing every 2-3 days and kind of being in a rhythm? Is it possible that with time off, you could be a little bit slow to get back into things?
Yes. If we would have won that game Monday, I said, let's tee it up again.
But now you're glad you have some time.
Thank God.
What are you doing with the time?
Like we had talked about in the first segment, getting back to our principles defensively. And, you know, if we have another shooting night like that again, where we score 52 points, make sure that we hold the opponent's 51. So we're getting back. What that has done is help us to work with those people that are coming off the bench. And so, you know, I'll just share with you, we're going to shake up our bench. So you think in your mind, that means you're going to have different personnel coming off. No, we're going to actually change up the seating arrangement of our bench. That's the truth.
What is the strategy with that?
Excellent question. We're going to have a coach positioned right in the middle of the bench to get the player who's going into the game ready.
Mentally.
Exactly. And then if they're not ready, then I'm going to meet with the coach.
Is that to review scouting report or talk about what's going on in the game? What will they talk about?
One, here's who you're going in for. Let's take a look at a couple possessions. Two, this is what we want you to try to get done while you're out there. Those two things. We went over that in great detail. And it's going to, you know, I'm just as interested as hopefully you're interested too, Dave. See how this works out. I know you'll watch it live, Cheeks.
Yes. I've heard of other teams that do similar things. I just wasn't sure what that coach did. And if this was the game at Longwood a couple weeks ago, that coach wouldn't have a whole lot to talk about. No substitution.
But sometimes I think it's when you're into it, and right now you're thinking of your freshmen as sophomores, but
Right.
You're looking at the Jackson twins, Nuba and Naima, Ezene Mbamalu, Jamisha Banks. I mean, these are players that, you know, there is an adjustment going from high school to college. You know, how sometimes you have to think about their development in the overall picture of what's going on with the team in the now.
It's amazing how much these young players have retained. Today, you know, I had them do an exercise before our film session where we reestablished our goals and that they had to devise a plan. And, you know, as I read through a couple of the sheets, one thing I always tell all the players that come off the bench is really be aggressive, but don't do anything to beat us.
Right.
And Tiffany Charles finally got that. And now I think some of our players are understanding what I mean about that. You know, don't come in and take a wild hair shot. You know, shoot your shot, but in the flow, and get in the flow before you jack one up. And next, take care of the basketball and value it. And third, go in there and stop your opponent. But I'm really thinking that this is going to help us, or else, of course, I wouldn't do it.
Which coach is it going to be, and how do you decide? Because the other people down at the end of the bench are usually talking to you about what the next set you're going to run is or what defensive matchup you want.
Well, I'll share that information because I don't want to put them on the spot, but I'll share that information next show.
Yeah, that's fine, but what goes into that decision?
Okay. That's an excellent question. And what goes into that is just a feel. Okay, I made that decision on feel. It could have been any one of the three. And that coach may change from time to time. But I will say this, it's this particular coach's scout. So
that kind of lines up.
That's why I did it.
Now, in that case, if it works, let's say you play a great game on Saturday, and that coach you think has provided you an assistance by being in that spot, but now you play your next game, and after Asheville, you play High Point at the Coliseum on Tuesday. Then do you have that person in that spot again, or the coach that's scout is in that spot for the High Point game?
That's a great question. It's easy to answer because it's the same person getting the scouts. But that's an excellent question, and that would again have to be decided. If it was a different coach, it would have to be decided by field.
We talked a couple weeks ago about the importance of Winthrop playing in the now and being concerned more about Winthrop. Now that you have 7 games remaining, what do you want to see from your team maybe improve upon from game to game down the stretch here?
I've really been pleased the last 5 games with our toughness, with our grit. I mean, Monday night we shoot at 26% and still have a chance to win it in the last 4 minutes of the game. And we fouled twice, so yeah, it was a 10 points probably. We're talking about a 4 or 6 point
closer
game.
than that, yeah.
Obviously. And so the grit, the determination that we've shown the last 5 games, we continue to have that. We've got as good a chance as the next to come out and represent the Big South in the NCAA tournament.
Well, I think it's fair to also say that, a couple of Campbell's players, particularly Rayshawn Edwards, made big plays when they needed them. Otherwise, it easily could have gone the other direction.
Absolutely. And
I mean, it wasn't all your team. I mean, the other team had something to do.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And you have a scout, and I thought we were so prepared, and we were. Their 2 leading scorers we held to 0, and the other, Kiara Gaines, had 8. But it was the supporting players that came through for them. And this is what we need, out of our team, and I'm certain the supporting players, I mean, those coming off the bench are going to be ready and going to heavily contribute.
Well, it's kind of been an interesting trend all season. You've done, for the most part, in just about every game, you've done a pretty good number on the primary and secondary scores of your opponents.
Right. And this is why we continue to put our most emphasis in practice on the defense. And we're going to be known, like the men, is a program that defends. And that's what these last 5 games have been about. All of our practices have been about defense.
I know you've mixed up defenses a little bit. Earlier in the year was a lot of zone. You've done a lot of man-to-man. How do you feel like the team has transitioned into playing the different defenses?
Excellent. And they've taken on the challenge of the one-on-one type situation, man-to-man. I think they like it. I think they enjoy that challenge much better now. Behind all the great zone coaches will argue this and that, but I've been a man-to-man guy as a player coming up, and I'm gonna go back to my roots. And I think our team is happy with that, and that's what's important, And this happens because of discussions with the players, and they want it. So they want to go man-to-man. I want to play man-to-man.
Bill Raftery likes man-to-man.
But the flip side of it is you have a zone, now you have a man defense, and now it gives you some options on the bench defensively that maybe throw a change-up to the opponent.
And that's what I've shared with the team is now they're really allowing us to coach because we can mix it up. And that's awfully nice.
Well, we will see you Saturday in Asheville, 2 o'clock tip time, 1:30 here on 104.1 The Bridge and the Winthrop Sports Network. Hope you'll join us from Asheville. Bobby Stevens, I think, is going to be with us on this trip with his wife, Missy. They're going to Asheville for the day, and they're going to
we'll see how the team does. If they win, we'll let Bobby go to another game, and if not, that'll be all for him.
I like the way you're thinking, Dave.
One and done? Oh, I hope not. Hopefully we'll see Bobby a little bit more. Thanks to Coach Cook. Coming up next, we'll have Mark Prosser, one of the assistant coaches, the associate coach for the men's basketball team. He's coming up next. Right now, 65-cent boneless wings here at Buffalo Wild Wings, Dave Lyle Boulevard, and happy hour until 8, $4 to $8, $3 beers, $4 and $5 craft beers. So hope you join us. More to come here on the Winthrop Coaches Show on the Winthrop Sports Network.
Come on, boys, we're on our way. Got the real thing now, and it's time to play. Got a nice cold Coke and a burning heart. Always looking cold. Things are off to a real good start. Always, always Coca-Cola. Met a girl that takes my breath away. Gonna fire a Coke and make my day.
Distributed locally by the Rock Hill Coca-Cola Bottling Company.
You know you make me wanna say Toyota of Rock Hill. Say Toyota of Rock Hill.
Shop over 200 new Toyotas at our brand new state-of-the-art facility. Minutes off exit 79 on I-77. Across the street from Rock Hill Galleria.
Save, 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 save.
When you're sick and need to go to the ER, it's no fun to wait. There is a smarter way. Check in online at mypmc.com and skip the ER waiting room. Piedmont Medical Center, the smarter way to ER.
New year, new you. The holiday guests are gone, the decorations are put away, but you still feel the woes of holiday overspending. Start 2015 on the right track and consolidate your debt at Founders Federal Credit Union. We'll work with you to create one easy monthly payment. Visit founderssfcu.com for more information. Not a Founders member? Visit relaxjoinfounders.com to determine if you qualify for membership or call 800-845-1614. Founders Federal Credit Union, federally insured by NCUA.
Did you live here during the big ice storm?
Yeah.
It was unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
We were without power for about a week,
Mm-hmm.
but we had natural gas, so we were fine.
Yeah.
A lot of our friends didn't have natural gas then,
Mm-mm.
but I believe every one of them switched to gas before the next winter.
Yeah.
Of course, it's been a while since that last big one.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. How long ago was that?
Well,
Has it been that long?
Mm-hmm.
I'd say we are about due for another one.
Mhm.
Wouldn't you?
yeah.
Be prepared. Call York County Natural Gas at 323-5304.
Welcome back to Buffalo Wild Wings. It's our Winthrop Basketball Coaches Show. 38 days until Selection Sunday. Our next show here at BW3s is next Monday, February 9th. We'll be back here at Buffalo Wild Wings at 6 o'clock. Hope you'll have an opportunity to join us. If you want to contribute to the show, you can ask questions of the coaches using hashtag WooCoaches on Twitter. That's hashtag WUCoaches. Men's team with back-to-back home wins, blowouts of Charleston Southern and Liberty, and now off for a week before they take on High Point next Wednesday at the fabulous Milla Center in High Point, North Carolina, and then back home to take on Gardner-Webb on the 14th, and some great promotions going on at the Coliseum as the season comes down the stretch, and we hope you'll have an opportunity to pick up tickets to the Gardner-Webb game on February 14th, 803-323-2345, 803-323-2345, or log online at winthropeagles.com. Associate head coach Mark Prosser joins us now. Coach Kelsey is where? Out and about recruiting? You guys do that occasionally?
Every once in a while, we have to go out and see what we can see a little bit. So yeah, Coach is hit the road. So I certainly appreciate you guys having me. It's an honor to be back with you guys.
I was talking to an assistant coach for a team not in Winthrop's league the other day, and he told me your assistant coaches are as good as your recruiting. That's how you evaluate assistant coaches. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I think that I think there's a lot of luck involved in recruiting. It's certainly an inexact science. You can go and see a kid who you think is a can't miss kid, and when he gets on campus, maybe his drive isn't there. There's some things that maybe you didn't see throughout the recruiting process, but I certainly think there's a direct correlation to your staff and to the guys you bring in, and recruiting to your system is obviously very important. And recruiting to the head coach's mentality and philosophy and system as well, and everything kind of has to mesh for things to go the way you hoped in recruiting. But it's obviously something that is very, very important to the lifeblood of your program, and we certainly take it very seriously. So,
and you don't just send out your 3 assistants and say, go find us players. In some manner or facet, it's divided up. How do you go about doing that?
Yeah, sometimes it's different. It's different between head coaches, and your philosophies can change a little bit. Sometimes it's geographically driven, and your ties to a certain area can certainly help with that. But it's something that you can go see one kid necessarily and see two other guys from a different team. You can go, see kids from all over the country throughout the AAU programs and the live weekends in the summertime and in the spring as well. And sometimes somebody catches your eye no matter where they're from, and you continue to pursue and recruit that young man. And it's funny, it's strange how people, find young men, kids from all parts of the world now. And obviously with how we've recruited and we have a freshman.
Is Wollongong Yora, is that your...
I'm taking full responsibility for Xavier. No, certainly, Coach had a lot to do with his recruitment and did a great job in getting that young man here. And he's certainly done very well for us, and he's coming on for us at a very important time of the year.
Recruiting obviously is a lot about how you put the message out about Winthrop, but sometimes the student maybe recruits you, and
sure,
you might not be aware of somebody geographically because it's really, really far away. How does that player find their way onto the Winthrop campus?
Yeah, I think that way. You brought it up. There's a lot of times where kids somewhat recommend themselves. There's a lot of times where coaches recommend kids. You get several emails, videos, and things like that throughout the day. But everything's been condensed so much in the AAU circuit that it's hard. With that one weekend in the spring, or 2 weekends in the spring, and then they've condensed July so much. But you certainly have the AAU programs that you feel very confident in, and you certainly have areas of the country that you feel good about. And kids find their way onto your radar, and certainly you end up recruiting a lot against like-minded institutions. But we were very, very fortunate being at Winthrop. We don't have to sell anything. Winthrop sells itself. The tradition that's here and the campus that we have and the Coliseum, and we're just really, really lucky to represent the institution that we don't have to say a lot in recruiting. A lot of people already know about us.
You've had great contribution from a bunch of young players this year. I mean, last night, Dubio Keke and Xavier Cooks put on their own block show. How much do you expect of those guys you recruit one year and they're on your roster the next year to be impact players?
I think, it's hard. It's hard to put too much on those young men, especially early in their career. And, you look at our season and how it's progressed. You've seen those two kids, but a number of our young kids get better and better. And when you look up and down our lineup, you talk about our top 9, and most of those kids are in their first or second year. You see kind of, you're on the bench, you see a couple guys running by, and you realize how young those kids are, and you're putting them out there against grown men, especially around the basket where Doobie plays and where Xavier plays, the two young men that you mentioned. And, it's taken, some time to get to this point, and obviously a lot of hard work in the progression of those two kids. But certainly they're getting hot at the right time. And, we have some senior leaders that I think kind of see the light at the end of the tunnel and see the thing winding down a little bit. So if you can have that combination of, senior leadership and young kids that are starting to come on at this time of year, you can be a dangerous team. And hopefully that's where we're going.
We're live at Buffalo Wild Wings. It's our Winthrop Basketball Coaches Show. The men's basketball team coming off a win last night over Liberty, 74-61. They beat Charleston Southern on Monday, 77-55. Lost to Radford on Saturday, 3 games in 5 days. They had beaten Coastal last week, 4 games in 8 days, and now a well-deserved break. Let's talk about those last 2 games, though. If there's one stat that kind of winds its way through both of those, your 3-point defense, both in those 2 games and in the conference overall, has been outstanding. Why?
You know what? I think we've made a commitment to it. And obviously, knowing Coach Kelsey, and I know you guys have spoken to him several times on this program about his defensive mentality, it's something that we talk about every day. And we don't use it as a crutch that, maybe we have some smaller guards on the perimeter where guys shoot from. Typically, we take that very, very personally. So on a day-to-day, game-to-game basis, it's something that we emphasize. And obviously, our defensive mentality is to guard every possession. Every three has got to be contested. Anything inside the arc is going to be very difficult as well. So, I think it's a day-to-day, commitment to guarding the arc and making sure everyone's contested because, the teams you're mentioning have very, very good shooters. I think, people make that commitment with us a little bit as well. And, it's difficult, but as you know, it's a very, very good league. The talent in this league is very, very good. There's great parity in our league. And we've been fortunate that maybe we got some off nights from some other teams. And that certainly never apologize for that, but we like to feel like we've had something to do with that as well.
The last 2 wins are against perimeter-oriented teams, and you've done a great job defending them. The next 3 games, High Point, Gardner Webb, and Asheville, they have guys that either are traditional posts or undersized posts. John Brown is kind of an everything post. what sort of challenge will that give you guys?
Yeah, and I think you saw that early through league play for us. And you mentioned Doobie, you mentioned Xavier and Joey Lopez, and those guys were kind of thrown to the fire early against the John Browns, the Jerome Hills, the William Trusses of the world, who are very, very experienced, very, very good post players. And I think that their progression defensively, offensively will be on display a little bit, hopefully in the next few games. But again, I think everybody on our schedule is going to present a different sort of matchup issue, whether it's close to the basket, whether it's far from the basket, whether it's on the wing. And our guys, understand on a day-to-day basis it's going to be in our league because of the great parity. It's going to be a battle, and you have to play well. The team that plays well is probably going to win that day, and we just want to make sure that that's us more often than not.
You practice very hard, and part of the reason why you do that is to try to make it harder in practice so that when the game comes, it flows a little bit easier. You've had to play WOKK a little bit more, and Xavier Cooks and Joe Lopez a little bit. How much is that maybe extra game time going to help them down the road?
Yeah, I think that any time where you have live action, live experience, there's no replacement for that, and those guys have had that and a lot of it. And we've had some injuries, we've had some guys in and out throughout the whole year, and kind of going into the year with some experienced guys that maybe aren't with us this year that got injured in the summer and the preseason and things like that. That those guys have kind of been put on Front Street, for lack of a better term, and they've handled it really, really well. And now it's the point where they're not freshmen anymore. I mean, they've gotten experience. We refer to those guys as sophomores and upperclassmen at this point, because we don't necessarily have time for them to be young kids anymore. And Keon Moore and Andre Smith, those guys that are seniors, have no time for anybody to be giving up, making freshman mistakes. That the light again is on at the end of the tunnel. Those guys know it's coming down the stretch, and obviously there's no tomorrow for them when it gets into March. So those guys are relied on heavily, and we'll certainly lean on those guys down the stretch around the basket as well.
We're live at Buffalo Wild Wings on our Winthrop Basketball Coaches Show, joined by Associate Head Coach Mark Prosser. We'll have much more to come from BW3s on the Winthrop Sports Network.
When you're sick and need to go to the ER, it's no fun to wait. There is a smarter way. Check in online at mypmc.com and skip the ER waiting room. Piedmont Medical Center, the smarter way to ER.
New year, new you. The holiday guests are gone, the decorations are put away, but you still feel the woes of holiday overspending. Start 2015 on the right track and consolidate your debt at Founders Federal Credit Union. We'll work with you to create one easy monthly payment. Visit founderssfcu.com for more information. Not a Founders member? Visit relaxjoinfounders.com to determine if you qualify for membership, or call 800-845-1614. Founders Federal Credit Union, federally insured by NCUA.
Come on, boys, we're on our way. Got the real thing now, and it's time to play. Got an ice cold Coke and a burning heart. Always looking cold. Things are off to a real good start. Always looking cold. I met a girl that takes my breath away. Gonna fire a Coke and make my day.
Distributed locally by the Rock Hill Coca-Cola Bottling Company.
We're back on our Winthrop Basketball Coaches Show from Buffalo Wild Wings alongside Mike Pacheco. I'm Dave Friedman. Great thanks to Austin Peak back in studio. Associate Head Coach Mark Prosser is with us. The men's basketball team is off until Wednesday, when they'll take on High Point at 7 o'clock down at the Millis Center. Home February 14th to take on Gardner Webb. Tickets available 323-2345, 323-2345, and that will be our Military Appreciation Day, brought to you by Kangaroo Express. All current and former military and their family members will get free admission. Donations will be taken for the Folds of Honor. A special presentation will be made at halftime to the family of South Carolina native and U.S. Marine Captain Daniel McCullum and Winthrop golfer Zach Seabolt, who carried a special bag honoring McCullum at the Patriot All-American Tournament, which took place at the end of December, will be there to share his experience. So all of that coming up on Military Appreciation Day, February 14th against Gardner-Webb. It's a 1 o'clock tip-off at the Coliseum. The team is off for a week after playing 4 games in 8 days. What does the week look like? Obviously, you've got some tired guys.
Yeah, and we have, especially in the backcourt, but even with the young kids, I mean, we have guys that have logged a lot of minutes. It's important this time of year to be a fresh basketball team, and coach is is very smart when it comes to managing our guys, health of body and health of mind a little bit as well. And the way the NCAA changed the rules and moving practice up and allowing you to practice so much earlier, it's a long year, and we're fortunate to have this time at this time of year for our guys to kind of get rested and rejuvenated, I hope. But they're still in study halls. They have academic responsibilities as well. So they'll still be around, and they'll still be somewhat busy for the next few days.
Do you have an opportunity, though, if you're not concentrating on High Point for 4 or 5 or 6 days, to put in another late game player, put in an inbound player, work on some of those finer things that when you have 4 games in 8 days, you don't have time to do?
Yeah, it does. And Coach alluded to it several times in the last few days. We haven't had a lot of time to practice. And I think there's obviously some things that we'd like to work on, some things that, games highlight, a little bit of things that we'd like to go back and kind of, for lack of a better term, go back in the lab and tinker with a little bit. But you have the opportunity to do that now with a couple of days. But, it's so important. And I think, Coach does a great job of preparing our guys from a game-to-game basis. And our preparation is very important to what we do. And obviously we can turn our attention a little bit to next week, and certainly turn our attention to High Point, who's sitting in first place in our league at this point, even though everybody's kind of, huddled up there around the top. But, we'll have to do that, and certainly have an extra incentive going up there for, losing that game at home. And we don't like to lose at home, and we enjoy being at home in front of our home crowd and home fans that have done a great job supporting us. And, we certainly feel like we have a little extra incentive going up on the road to their place.
The true answer probably comes in between the last game and the conference tournament, but does this kind of break come at a good time when you still have 6 games remaining and you have all that behind you?
Yeah, it's nice because the last 6 games are Wednesday, Saturday, which it hasn't been that way, throughout league play, and it's that's better for our guys. There's a the habits that they create as far as preparation game. It's something that is nice and more comfortable, I think, for them. And again, you get a couple of days off, this late in the season with how long of a season it is. I think that can do nothing but help your team coming down the stretch.
We're live at Buffalo Wild Wings. It's our Winthrop Basketball Coaches Show, 38 days before Selection Sunday. We talked to Kevin Cook, the women's coach, about this a little bit earlier. When you're scouting teams and you divvy up the league teams among your coaches, is this the point where you have the week off, where you start looking at those teams a week or 2 down the line?
Yeah, I think you can absolutely do that. And, when you have a little extra time like this, you can do a little bit of self-scouting as well. Offensively, defensively, what's working, what's helped, what hasn't. So you have a little more time to do that. And like you mentioned it earlier, all the while you're recruiting and your player development is obviously very important, in getting guys and film sessions and things like that. So they'll still keep us very busy, and certainly the week off, certainly doesn't mean a week off for our guys or obviously for us as well. But yeah, the guys have an understanding of that, and they'll be around, and you can't get rid of some of these guys. But it's a lot of fun, and they're dialed in at this time of year. And obviously, as you guys know, that the team that peaks at, in February and late February and early March is the team that's going to represent our league. And you keep talking about Selection Sunday. I'm getting all excited because you keep mentioning it. But it's certainly a great time of year, and there's certainly not a better sport to be a part of at this time of year.
When you look at where the team is now and you look at the national rankings, and Coach Kelsey is into some of the analytics of this sport, you're rebounding. It's really easy to pin down. You're 7-0 when you win the battle of the boards. But the last 2 games, you've won that rebounding battle. What does it take, game in and game out, to prosper in that category?
I think it's been, for us, it's part of who we are. It's part of our identity at the defensive end of the floor to finish possessions. We talk about one-shot stops all the time, and we have terminology for 3 stops in a row and things like that where
I think
we don't
3
foul.
strikes in a row is a turkey in ball.
It is. It's something. Yeah, we have some terminology as well for that. But yeah, I think that it's turned into more of a 5-man commitment for us. I think our guards have done a nice job of helping out at the defensive end of the floor on the glass, and we have some good size on the wing at times, and we have obviously some good size around the rim. But like you said, we have sometimes some young men that are going up against grown men when those shots go up, and sometimes you have to have some other guys in that battle, and I think they're doing a nicer job of some of our guards coming down and helping with that. And that's something that I think has been a key to our winning the glass the last couple of games. And believe me, we know how important that is for us to be successful, and I think that our kids have addressed that accordingly.
When you look at the technique in which you defend posts, I think in general you've tended over 3 years here to like to double post to post, but we've seen some other things as well. How do you guys make the decision of how you go after a post player who might be hurting you?
You're trying to get us to give away some of the secrets here, some of the keys to the castle a little bit. I think it depends. It depends on a game-to-game basis, on a player-to-player basis. There's opportunities where you can double post to post that in one game presents itself and another game doesn't, because the other team may have a post player that can step away and shoot the basketball on the perimeter, and it might make you a little wary of doing that. Sometimes you can help off a guard, and I think again it's a game-to-game basis, but you have to be creative, and like I said, obviously with the talent level on a game-to-game basis in our league, it's each team presents you a different opportunity. Each team can beat you a number of different ways, and you kind of have to at some point pick your poison a little bit, and hopefully it doesn't hurt you. And sometimes it makes you look really smart as coaches, sometimes it doesn't. But I think our kids have done a great job of carrying out our game plan, no matter who it be or how it be. Each game Wednesday and Saturday nights.
I know at Wofford you doubled post to post. Did you ever differ on that?
That's good. That's good knowledge. We did a lot of that.
But did you occasionally do something else, or is that what you always went with?
No, we would do it. In my first stint at Wofford, we did it almost every time the ball went into the post. We called it fire, and it was very, very good for us. And a couple years ago when I was there, we didn't have to do it as much. We had some experienced post players that maybe we didn't have to give them that kind of help. But call it on, call it off, and you have to have a smart team. You have to have a team that's engaged, and you have to have a team that practices that every day to be able to come out of a huddle to understand all 5 guys, because you know how it is. If 3 guys think you're in one defense and 2 think you're another, you're going to have a problem. And I think we have that now, and I think we have kids that can carry out a game plan from a media timeout to a 30-second timeout to the 2 minutes of play on that basis. And our kids are very smart about that, and getting better and better as the games go on, especially with all those young kids that we mentioned.
How do you balance the conversation with your team with the importance of every game now? 6 games remaining, but there are 7 teams that could win the conference right now. How much do you maybe put that challenge out there, or how much do you dial it back and just really kind of, to use the cliche, just take it one game at a time?
Yeah, I think, unfortunately, I think you kind of have to, trying to leave coach speak out of it. Everybody is going to have difficult games, and and you mentioned the top 7, but all 10 teams are talented, and certainly we're going to beat each other up for the next 3 weeks. And if you start to worry about this stuff now, I think you'll drive yourself crazy by the time that comes around. So I think our guys do a great job of the task at hand and understanding every game for us from this point on is a first place game in some way, and the leaders in our league have 8 wins, and we have 8 wins in our league right now, and certainly when we go up to High Point, depending on whatever they do, it doesn't really matter to us. That's our next challenge, and our guys will take it as such, and they're already kind of turned the page and are looking forward to that. And like I said, certainly with how that game ended the last time we played those guys, we're looking forward to having the opportunity to play those guys again.
We're joined by Winthrop men's associate head coach Mark Prosser on our Winthrop basketball coaches show. The team is 13-10 overall, 8-4 in the Big South. We're back here next Monday. Coach Kelsey will join us at 6 o'clock on our coaches show next Monday here from Buffalo Wild Wings. It's Coach Kelsey's 3rd year at the helm. What differences have you noticed in him from day 1 until whatever day this is, 800?
Wow, that's a great question. Coach is his his habits and the way that he approaches his work every day is going to be consistent. He's, you know, as you guys know, he's one of the most positive and energetic people that I've ever met. I mean, he's going to bring that, you know, every day, minute to minute, hour to hour. He's going to be very, very consistent. And, you know, I think, you know, you guys know our philosophy of do what we do. I mean, coaches, it takes a lot of pride in being consistent. And I think that our guys understand that, you know, that consistency is what is going to help make us good. And they know what to rely on, and they know, you know, on a day-to-day basis what to expect. And, you know, he's always preached that. We've always lived that for 3 years. And I think our guys have a comfort level that comes with that and a confidence that comes with that. Then they know coach, they know what they're going to get, and they're going to get 100% effort. They're going to get 100% energy. And they're, you know, 9 times out of 10, 10 times out of 10, coach is going to be dead on in our approach. And those guys understand that. And I think that that's, you know, that's comforting to them. And that gives them a lot of confidence, especially at this time of year when, you know, you have a lot of balls in the air, and you know, have a lot of people, you know, different teams that are throwing a lot of stuff against the wall. We're going to have the same mentality every day and the same approach from a game-to-game basis. And our guys are confident in that. And I think, you know, hopefully that's, you know, will give us, you know, a little bit of an edge down the stretch here.
Do you find that he's more do you see anything different in the game? Does he like a particular player, particular set? Does he listen more? Does he listen less? How are things different?
Yeah, I think that, you know, I think as you are on that sideline for, you know, on a year-to-year, you know, first year to second year, third, you get more comfortable. I think, you know, that's just part of being a head coach. And, you know, I think coach has done a great job from day one. And you know, on a game-to-game basis, from timeouts to, you know, end-of-game situations, you know, he's always in control. He's very confident, and he's put our guys in situations to win, you know, almost on a nightly basis. And sometimes we've won them, sometimes we haven't. But no, I think that he's been very confident, very consistent since he's been here, and this year is no different.
Think Kentucky's going to go undefeated?
I don't. I think there's members of our staff that are sitting here right now that do, but I think it's going to be hard for them. Now, I think they're, you know, the league maybe that they're in isn't quite as strong as it has been in the past, and I think that helps them. But you know, just by some of their results, and I haven't had a chance to see them play enough, kind of watching our guys and the teams in our league a little bit. But I don't, from watching their, you know, overtime games and games that could have gone either way, I think that they'll probably drop one here or there, but obviously they're very, very talented.
Do you believe in it would be better for them to lose a game in order to win the national title?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I think that you know, my father used to say, his father used to tell him, you know, hey, you know, my grandmother would tell my grandfather, hey, you know, you can't win them all. And he would say, it doesn't say that in the rule book. So you can certainly win them all. And obviously those guys are going out to win every time the ball goes up in the air. So no, I don't really buy into that. I think the more you win, the better it is.
Once the season's over and the conference tournaments are going on and the NCAA tournaments going on, how much of that do you like to watch?
It's the best time of year. It's like Christmas for crazy college basketball coaches like we are. And, you know, ideally you're involved in it, and there's nothing better. And coach, you know, tells our guys about it all the time, that feeling of playing in the NCAA tournament, being in the NCAA tournament, watching Selection Sunday, having, you know, CBS sitting there while you're watching the selection show. There's nothing like it. And, you know, obviously that's the goal. That's the goal of all 349 teams, 351 teams that are playing right now is to get their name announced on that day. But there's going to be a select few that do. You know, hopefully, you know, Winthrop's back up there where it belongs. And obviously the tradition that we have and the expectation for our program is to be there. And that's driving us every day. But yeah, I mean, you know, even when you're not playing, there's nothing like taking, you know, those Thursdays and Fridays of that first week and second week and watching those games. It's the best time of year.
In 15 seconds, if there's one area that you can improve upon that'll help you get to Selection Sunday, what is it? I
think, you know, our attention to detail at the offensive end. You know, I think we're doing a great job in transition. I think there's some things we can do better at the offensive end of the floor, and that's our job in the next few days to get there.
Winthrop Associate Head Coach Mark Prosser joining us on our Winthrop Basketball Coaches Show. Great thanks to women's coach Kevin Cook, to Mike Pacheco as well, and Austin Peak back in studio. Our next show is Monday at 6 here from BW3's. The women's team in action Saturday at Asheville beginning at 2. Pre-game at 1:30. The men play next Wednesday at High Point. We'll talk to you then on the Winthrop Sports Network.